Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to get into the heart of compelling stories and pull out what really matters. Today, we're looking at a narrative that feels almost uncomfortably familiar. It starts with this idea of a perfect marriage. But, underneath that smooth surface, deep cracks forming, quiet forces pushing people apart even when they're right there sleeping in the same bed. We're diving into betrayal and maybe, just maybe, the long road to healing.
That's right. Our main source today is an emotional story called She Cheated, What Happens Next? Focusing on couple, Sarah and Daniel. It really lays bare the tiny details, the messy feelings involved when trust breaks down, how you even start to pick up the pieces.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack all of that, not just the what happened, but the why. Those subtle shifts in how people feel, the things left unsaid, the raw emotion that leads to breaking trust. We'll look at the silent warning signs and moments where choices get made. And then, the really hard work that comes after. The stuff gets real, and it tells us a lot about relationships in general.
And what's really striking right from the start is that gap between how things look and how they feel. That external versus internal reality. It's so common.
Yeah, that's a great place to kick off. So Sarah and Daniel, married 6 years, everyone thinks they're perfect, right? Made for each other.
No.
They got the cozy home, the good jobs, the nice routines. Sunday breakfasts, evening walks, visiting her parents. Looks pretty good from the outside.
Mm-hmm. But here's the insight. The story points out that routines can sometimes become walls. So while life looked stable, Sarah felt this quiet emptiness creeping in. It wasn't sudden, more like a fog rolling in, making it hard to see what's real. It's easy to assume routine equals happiness, but it's not always true. And Daniel, well, he believed things were fine. For him, Sarah was his safe place, comfortable. Maybe too comfortable. He just didn't notice the small things. Her sighs, the silences, the way she'd just stare at the ceiling at night. It shows that lack of emotional tuning in. They didn't realize it, the story says, but the distance was already there, like a canyon growing between them, even in the same bed.
Wow, that canyon image. It really sticks with you. Makes you think how easily couples can drift apart without even realizing it's happening. Just quiet neglect. And it's right into that emptiness, that emotional void that someone new steps in. It seems so innocent at first. Sarah's at her usual cafe, and this stranger, Alex, is in her spot, reading books she loves. She says something.
And boom, a passing comment turned into a 15-minute conversation, then an hour. It's a classic example of how these things can start, isn't it? That slippery slope. The story says Sarah laughed more than she had in weeks. She felt seen. That's huge. It taps into that fundamental need we all have to be acknowledged, understood. For her, it was like a light turned on in a dull routine. But, emotions, they don't always play by the rules. The line between harmless chat and something more gets blurry fast when you're feeling unmet needs.
And you see it happening, right? The internal shift in Sarah. The story mentions she started checking her appearance before leaving the house. She's smiling at texts from him, thinking about their talks. She even starts dreading going home, back to the silence and distance. That contrast is stark. Then there's that moment, rainy evening. Alex reaches out, touches her hand gently, and the key line. Sarah didn't pull away.
Yeah, that not pulling away, it's a huge psychological moment, a small action maybe, but it represents crossing an internal line. It's moving from just thinking or feeling something to it becoming real, tangible. Often there's some self-deception involved around this point, isn't there? Telling yourself it's not really an affair until maybe something physical happens. But the emotional groundwork, it's already laid, and that dread of going home, it just makes the alternative connection even more appealing.
Which leads us right into the secrecy, the lies. Sarah starts lying for the first time in years. Small things at first, the story says. Working late, meeting a friend, stuck in traffic. Standard stuff, easy to brush off. And Daniel, he's busy, buried in meetings, so he doesn't really notice. Meanwhile, Sarah's telling herself, this isn't really an affair, just connection, laughter, attention. She still goes home, plays the part.
Mm-hmm. But the thing about secrets, like the story says, is they demand more of you over time. It snowballs. Alex isn't just some guy at the cafe now. They're texting late, sharing songs, photos. The connection deepens. And think about the mental energy that takes. Living two lives, keeping the story straight, it changes you. Then comes the night everything shifts for good. Wine, deeper conversation, Alex admits, I haven't felt this in a long time. Vulnerability. And the story is very clear. She didn't resist when he leaned in to kiss her. It describes the kiss as slow, gentle, and terrifyingly real. She gets home late. Daniel's asleep. And she feels that weight, like a stone on her chest. A realization hits. It wasn't just a lie anymore. It was a betrayal when she couldn't undo.
Oh man, you can just feel that crushing weight, that finality, and then trying to act normal afterwards, impossible. She tries, but everything felt off. Her mind is replaying the kiss, the guilt. And Daniel, he starts picking up on something, not specifics, but a change. A strange silence in Sarah's eyes. Laughing too quickly, looking away, he sees a shadow. That doubt starts creeping in. Paranoia, maybe.
Exactly. And Sarah sees it too as she looks in the mirror. Like, who is this person? That internal fracture. She debates telling him, right, that whole internal struggle. Would he forgive her? Would he leave? It's paralyzing. So she chooses silence. Stay quiet, thinking maybe it'll just fade away. In the dark, everything looks softer, easier to ignore. But, as the narrative warns us, the truth has a way of demanding attention, even when it hides in the shadows. It rarely stays hidden forever.
And demand attention it did. Just 2 days later, tension's high, Sarah's jumpy, Daniel's restless, his gut is telling him something's wrong. Then the moment we all dread, Sarah is in the shower. Her phone buzzes on the counter. Daniel wouldn't normally look, but this time. It's described as fear, maybe pain, maybe just the desperate need to know the truth. He picks it up.
And there it is, the message. Last night was unforgettable. I can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again? The impact, immediate, total devastation. The room went silent, like all the air got sucked out. Daniel just stood frozen. His whole world, his reality just cracked wide open in a single second. This is that moment of betrayal trauma. Everything you thought was true is suddenly questioned. Sarah comes back, sees him holding her phone, sees the look in his eyes, heartbreak and disbelief. That silence again, louder than any scream. She can't even speak. And Daniel's reaction, it's chilling because it's so calm. No yelling, no chaos. Just him walking away, the footsteps echoing. The house suddenly feels too big, too cold. And Sarah, left standing there, finally understanding the true weight of what she had done, the real consequences.
That's cool.
Devastating. The quietness of it somehow makes it heavier. So the next morning, awful. Colder than the weather outside.
Oh.
Daniel's at the table, coffee untouched, just staring. When he finally speaks, his voice is flat, distant. I'm not ready to talk. The shock is still raw. Yeah, and this kicks off what the story calls a silent war, which is almost harder sometimes than shouting, isn't it? No shouting, no accusations, just these two people in the same house, completely isolated in their own pain. Daniel moves to the couch. That physical separation speaks volumes. Sarah tries to act normal, make breakfast, but it's pointless. The warmth is just gone. Eventually she breaks down, whispers, I made a mistake. I don't even know why I did it. I was lost. That's a turning point, that admission. Even if she doesn't fully get the why yet, it's a start towards accountability.
And Daniel's response, oh, it's heartbreaking. His eyes are red. He hasn't slept. He tells her, you didn't just hurt me, Sarah. You broke something we built for years, something I thought was unshakable. That sense of the foundation just crumbling. Sarah sees his pain and she pleads, therapy, counseling, just give me a chance.
But trust. It's so fundamental, and it's shattered. Daniel's response hits hard. You want me to believe in us again when I don't even recognize us anymore?
Yeah.
That captures the feeling perfectly. It's like the relationship they knew is dead, even if the person is still there. Ambiguous loss. So the decision is made. They need time apart to figure things out. Who we are, who we were, and if there's anything left. He packs a bag. But as he leaves, he doesn't slam the door. He actually looked back. just for a second. And that small gesture, that look back, gives Sarah this tiny sliver of hope. Maybe it's not completely over. Even in all that hurt, maybe some connection remains.
So Daniel leaves, needs that space. He goes to his brother's place described as full of old furniture, takeout containers. Not home, but it's space. Space to think, to feel, to fall apart, which is necessary, right? You have to
Yeah,
feel it. And he's struggling with the good memories of Sarah, too, which somehow made his anger ache even more. That mix of love and pain, it's so complicated. It's grief.
absolutely. And while he's doing that, Sarah starts her own essential work, walking through their empty house like a ghost. She starts journaling and, importantly, goes to therapy. Alone. This is vital. Taking responsibility, trying to understand the roots of her actions, not just making excuses. She digs into her loneliness, her resentment, the moment she allowed herself to cross a line. The story emphasizes she didn't try to justify it, she wanted to understand it, and most of all, she wanted to grow from it. That self-awareness, that desire for real change, that's the only foundation for potential reconciliation, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And after 3 weeks, Sarah does something brave. Sends Daniel a message. Not asking for forgiveness yet, but saying, I just want you to know I'm working on myself. Not for us. For me, I owe it to the person I used to be. That's powerful, taking ownership. Daniel doesn't reply, but the story says the words stayed with him, reminded him of the Sarah he married, maybe. And then after those 3 weeks, Daniel comes back, stands outside their house, keys in his hand, ready to face it at least.
It's not a happy reunion, more like a pause at the edge of something unknown. They meet at the door, not as strangers, not quite as lovers, just two people trying to figure out what's next. The exchange is so tentative. Daniel says, I'm not promising anything. Sarah replies, I'm not expecting anything. Very cautious, but they both step inside. And that small step, described as quiet, unglamorous, honest, is the first move towards maybe rebuilding something. It shows that rebuilding trust isn't about big dramatic gestures. It's about these consistent, vulnerable, small actions. Honesty.
And so begins the long road ahead. They're back under one roof, but it's different, built on fragile trust and cautious hope. We start couples therapy, knowing it's not a quick fix, right? It's a commitment. And those sessions sound intense, full of raw honesty and tears, but also, importantly, moments of understanding and laughter, little glimpses of the connection they lost.
And you see growth happening, both individually and together. Sarah is learning to face her loneliness without running away, and importantly, to express her needs without fear. Addressing the root causes, Daniel, for his part, learned to listen, really listen, not just to words, but to feelings hidden beneath silence. That's huge for rebuilding intimacy, emotional literacy. The wound is still there, obviously, a reminder of how fragile love can be, but they make a conscious choice to keep walking forward with respect and kindness. Whether they stay together or not, that respect is key. The small wins, a shared smile, a gentle touch, a conversation without blame, those become the stepping stones. Rebuilding isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about weaving it into a new, more honest story for their relationship.
The story doesn't give us a neat ending, does it? Leaves the future uncertain, which feels very true to life.
It does. But what they do find is that core truth. Honesty and forgiveness, even when painful, were the beginning of true healing.
Mm.
And within that, there's this quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, love could grow again. It's a really powerful message about resilience, about the possibility of change even after deep hurt.
It really is. Sarah and Daniel's story, it just shows so clearly how things aren't always what they seem, how distance can creep in unnoticed, the sheer devastation of betrayal, but also maybe a path forward, a very difficult, uncertain path, but one built on honesty, accountability, and a whole lot of courage. It reminds you relationships are messy, complex, but maybe growth is always possible.
It definitely makes you think hard about trust, forgiveness, and what it really takes to face hard truths about ourselves, about our partners. Healing clearly isn't about forgetting. It's about integrating the experience, learning from that pain. So, listening to Sarah and Daniel's journey, what really resonates with you about healing after betrayal? What kind of courage do you think is most needed in that situation? And maybe think about how you could foster that kind of courage, that honesty, that vulnerability in your own relationships, whatever form they take.